Hi there, welcome to another video from 2 Studios. Today we're going to be doing a introductory little course, I'd like to say, on gold panning here in Delaware. Now, what I've got with me, the equipment I've got with me today is one single plastic gold pan, a shovel, and some rubber boots. Now, that's not nearly enough to really actually get any gold. However, given the circumstances, the fact that it is in Delaware, of course, I'm not going to be really finding any gold. Well, if I do, then that's great. You may be wondering, what's the point if there's no gold in Delaware? Now, that is wrong. There is gold in Delaware. If you ask the question, is there gold in Delaware, then the answer will be yes. The question you should be asking is, will you find it? The answer to that is almost certainly no. The thing is about gold, you gotta remember, is that gold is, sorry about the wind here, I don't know if you can hear me all that well. Gold is not native to the earth. It is always, the earth was created mainly out of, dust and rocks and whatnot. Gold comes from the center of collapsing stars. So a star will explode and it will fuse elements together to create heavier elements. Usually these elements, elements such as thorium, uranium, gold, I don't know about silver. Oh, yeah, silver too. Most of the earth is made of silica, which is not a heavy element. But so basically today I'm going to be telling you about where to find gold here on the East Coast, especially in Delaware, because that's where I am, and how to actually pan for gold. So if you follow me here, I'm going to turn this camera around this way, facing the river. So, right there, hello. So, first thing you gotta know, first thing you need to know, where are you going to dig? When you first dig to get the pay dirt, as it's called, you want to dig on the inside bend of a river. So here, I dug on this side, where I'm standing right now. The outside bend over there is not going to have any gold. Gold is going to continue to flow past. It likes to collect on the inside bends of rivers. Another thing you need to know is, so dig about 1 foot down in the water, and best place to dig is behind a rock. So I've got a big thing here. I don't wonder if you can see that. What's in here is we got a lot of big rocks. Now, what you're going to want to do first is start picking out the big rocks. Now, usually you check these rocks, make sure there's no gold on them, but that's for places like, Colorado, California, maybe the Cascades, Australia, places like that, where there is gold. Usually around here in Delaware. Well, Delaware, I'll get to where you can actually find gold on the East Coast, especially this region of the East Coast. But right now you don't have to check for gold flakes on this. Sorry, I'm not looking at the camera, aren't I? So you're gonna want to you're also gonna wash at the same time. Put it in the water, shake it around a bit. I don't know if you can see, can't see me here. I'll move this down. So I'm gonna kneel down here, take this, shake it around a bit. You wanna shake it out, so what's gonna happen here is the big rocks are gonna settle to the surface. Smaller, siltier, heavier stuff is going to be able to sift down below. And so I'm basically, it's entirely submerged right now. Shake it around. All the smaller stuff is going to settle down at the bottom. Then I'm going to remove any big rocks. This part is not going to take very long compared to the actual sorting of the material afterwards. You can kind of just take off the top layer almost. Ooh, would you look at that? I found a little clamshell, it looks like. Hello? Alright, so we're starting to get to a point where there's less large rocks and more smaller, siltier materials. We got a lot of big flakes of mica. There's no real big chunks of highlight around here. Again, shift this around. You're also going to be dunking regularly. Remove big rocks. Alright. Shake around again. Rinse off. And repeat this process until there's mainly just sand. We're at a point now where there are no big rocks in this, as you can see here. There's a few large rocks that I can still pick out. This is the part where you really need, where the actual main gold panning skills come in. So, usually you want to go to a part that's flowing. You want to go to a flowing part of the river. In this case, like around here, you're going to want to start. Now, I wonder if you can see what I'm doing here. What I'm doing is I'm taking this and I'm going to dip it into the water around 5 times at an angle. You always want this part to be the lowest point. You never want the actual edge of the thing to be the lowest point. Now, you may have noticed there are ridges in this. Those will not be. These are actually just a little bit of a hindrance for the first stages. Those only come into play later. In fact, you may not even fully need them, especially out here. But what I'm doing is I'm rinsing off. You want to do that around 5 times. Get a bit of water in here. Shake it around. Really shake it around. Then pick out any remaining large rocks. Pieces of glass bottles, whatnot. And then take it and put it back in the water. Rinse 5 times. Now what you'll start to see is the material in the pan is actually getting darker. If you can see the color here. It's no longer as red, and that's because what we're now sifting out, we're sifting out all the light stuff. We're getting into the heavier, darker sand, and that's where the gold is going to reside. Now, this part is going to take a while, so while I'm doing this, I'm going to talk about where you can find gold on the East Coast. Now, it is a misconception that there is no gold on the East Coast. That is not true. In fact, before Western expansion and Western settlement, the largest gold mines in the country were mainly around Maryland, even close to D.C. And now, for us, the most relevant thing is a while back there was a report of a possible sighting of a piece of quartz with gold in it. Now, gold usually likes to reside in veins of quartz. Now, see, gold is not a mineral. It's not formed by sediment or volcanic activity. Gold is a metal, and it does not like to react, so it's not going to become a different mineral. So there is no place where there is no gold, because gold generally just goes where there is tectonic activity. So that means tectonic activity changes the amount of gold in the location, but it doesn't change the fact that there is any gold at all. So, as you can see, I'm not pouring out. I'm simply putting in the water and then taking out like that. So, Delaware's geology is not conducive to gold, but the closest ever recorded instance of a piece of gold being found was a vein of a little piece of gold in a chunk of quartz just outside of, well, Elkton, Maryland, which is a couple miles that way. In fact, so that is probably the farthest eastern in the United States ever found piece of gold. Usually it's on the West Coast, because the West Coast is tectonically active. There's a distinction here. Tectonic activity is not volcanic activity. So the Rockies have a lot of gold, and the Cascades have a lot of gold, but the Olympic Peninsula doesn't have a lot of gold. Delaware is neither tectonically or volcanically active. Instead, Delaware is mainly clay-based. The whole state. Okay, here's a couple of things you gotta know while I'm getting to the later stages here. And that is, you might want to add some kind of surfactant, because the oils in your skin may end up causing a small piece of gold to stick and float on the surface. Now, gold. Okay, the whole point of gold panning is to sift it out, because gold is heavy. In fact, most gold on Earth is found in the core of the Earth, rather than the crust or mantle, because it's so heavy. So, if you get oil on it, then it will be suspended in something which would like to float on water, and so it may wash away. So, generally, they recommend something like dish soap, or any kind of surfactant like that. Now we're getting down to the black sand mainly. You're going to see little red crystals, and those are garnets. Now garnets, big ones are valuable, but they're not in any way, shape, or form anything valuable. Here, I'm going to show you my pan now, show you what we're getting into. As you can see, mainly black sand. There's still a couple of rocks. I can take those out. Once we get to the really late stages, it's going to get a lot, less interesting than this. It's going to lose quite a bit of pizzazz. So, sift out all the heavy white sand, the light white sand goes to the top, white yellowish sand. Then you dip it in the water, run 5 times or more. Don't dip it too much, and don't pour it out. You don't want to pour it out. You want to just dip it in. Now there's a lot of shiny stuff in this pan, and that's all mica. Mica is a very common and a flaky, shiny substance. You're going to be able to tell the difference between gold and mica, because if mica is generally much lighter. So it's going to be the first thing to wash over when we get to the final stage of gold panning, which is the actual looking for the gold. But there's ways to tell between fool's gold and actual gold, and that I'll discuss when I get to the final stage here. What was I saying about gold on the East Coast? But yeah, there is gold on the East Coast. Delaware, most likely, there's not any gold on the East Coast here in Delaware. Well, there is gold, but so little that you're probably not going to find anything. I'm still looking though, because I'm going to be the first person to ever find gold in the state of Delaware. That's me. Yeah. It's going to be my claim to fame for a little while at least. Probably not actually. I'm not. I also am not going to find any. Most likely not going to find, but it's still fun to pan. So we're getting low down here. You know, pay dirt is most of the dirt. Part of the pay dirt is kind of gone. Now we're just being left with the pay part, which is generally the black, heavy, sandy one. You're seeing a lot of shiny stuff. Don't even give it any thought, because if you're in Delaware, so the largest piece you're gonna find is probably like a tiny grain of sand. Now there's something you gotta realize. Gold does not like to be flaky. It's not little flakes. That's another difference between mica and gold, which you can't really tell the shape at such a small scale. But generally, if you see a flake of something, it's not gold. If you see a, amorphous kind of blob shape, then that is gold. So what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to pour off some of this water, and I'm going to, now, what you want to do is, we're going to start sifting out the heavier elements here. So, now I've got the heavy stuff on this side. I've got by just banging my hand against the side of banging my pan against the side of my hand. You can also swirl it. That's more commonly used, although that also can carry a lot of the heavier stuff. But I'm just gonna wash a lot of that out. Now that's not usually generally recommended. What you usually do is, all right, we're in the final stages sort of. What you usually do is sort of swish it around and wash all the light stuff over to one side, and then you can basically dump that out, like so. You still have the heavy pay dirt at the bottom there. Alright, there's still a few large chunks which I can remove. I'm seeing a couple of yellowish flakes, but that's not gold. Well, I don't know if it's gold. Maybe gold. Maybe I'm the luckiest man in Delaware. But, so basically, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt it up and down and wash. Now I usually tilt to the side, so that way the water doesn't wash the light stuff back to one side. But what we're doing here is now we're looking through to find any shiny stuff that stands out. Each time you do this, you get a little wave of new particles which you can look through and see if there's anything shiny, if there's anything, any way useful. Another rock, I'm gonna remove that. In a place where there is quite a bit of gold, you don't want to do that, because you could get oils on it, lose it. So I'm gonna tilt it up and down, keep doing that. If it's shiny in water but not shiny outside the water, that's not gold, again. So just keep doing that. It's got to be shiny even in, so here's something you got to remember: gold always glimmers. If it's shiny in the light, then you don't know for sure if it's gold or not. Take it into the take it under shade or something, cover it with your hat, and then see if it still glimmers. Then that probably is gold. That frog scared me. Gee willikers. Alright. So we're getting a lot of heavy black sand and a lot of garnets in here. Oh, 19 minutes. Probably want to end this video soon. But yeah, you generally want to keep doing this until you find any gold. So, for the sake of time, let's just say I find some gold. What I'm going to do here is then isolate the gold by going around it with a dry finger. Now, it's important to have a dry finger, because that way, well, wet finger for this part. Move the sand around out of the way of the gold, leaving only the speck. Dry your finger and then press down. And what will happen is, since it's wet, it will stick to your finger. And then what you do is you put it in a little baggie, or, no, better, take a little vial of water, poke your finger into that, and then the gold will come off of your finger and go into the water. I hope this video was educational for you. I wish you luck in your gold panning endeavors. And Owen Bradley from 2 Studios signing off.